kind words.
Mm-hmm. You grab the gate.
Sydney, Brady.
Good morning.
A chairmaker in Maine by the name of Jack Guzman showed a picture of a chair that a Curtis Buchanan Windsor chair, and that inspired me to decide to try to build a Windsor chair. And I convinced my four Saturday morning people here that we should attempt to make the chair. And luckily, we had the book by Peter Galbert, which guided us to making this Windsor chair, and we just completed it a few weeks ago. That's it.
Following the bouncing ball, as John says. John, why don't you explain the jigs? The jigs that we use for the chair? Because it takes a lot of jigs to get the chair.
Well, one of the things we did was we decided that the bow in the back would be made of laminations, and we did it with some 1/8 inch white oak laminations. We made two, and
So these are a bunch of strips that
yes,
we glued together.
rather than using green wood, what we did was we did laminations. That's how we made this bow in the back. The spindles for the back, which were made on the lathe, were turned by Robert Babbitt and Bob Ipolitti. Sorry.
It's an I, not an
There's
O.
all sorts of things that happen. There's a lot of carving, and the shaping of the seat had to do with Mark Corso. Go ahead, Mark. Talk about the shaping and
Well,
Curtis Buchanan and.
none of us have ever built a Windsor chair before. I have always wanted to build one, and I had originally gotten Michael Dunbar's book, and then I realized it took a lot of green wood and things like that. Yeah, and just kind of set it aside for so many years until John had the idea, and I was saying, yeah, we're all in, you know. But we didn't do it with green wood. But each of us came to the table with our own strengths in woodworking. John design and woodworking, Robert and Bob in turning, and me in carving, and the guy behind the camera who doesn't want to be in the picture, Mike, he's a big part in this as well. But he says he's a behind the scenes guy, so we'll respect that. Anyway, the seat was shaped with hand tools, like this in shave here for scooping out the inside, and a draw knife. So all this was shaped with hand tools. And here's a draw knife. So this would be used, you know, like this, and then underneath. And of course, it's not put together, so you have access to all of this stuff. And the chair is made with maple undercarriage, the pine seat, maple spindles, and of course the oak back, as John explained. So there's a lot that goes into it. For what looks like a simple chair is really very complicated. And what really got me is how to drill these angles, because they, you know, you have an angle as you're looking at the chair coming off this way, and from the side it's coming off this way, and this is splayed out this way. It's called a resultant angle. And all of these have to be bang on, or else it doesn't match up, you know, to come together. So it was a really fun project, and of course, you know, it's always fun to do woodworking with friends. So we'll let Robert get in here. Here, let me.
Well,
I didn't take the mic. Hopefully,
I got a
we can
pocket
hear.
here if it's
Yeah,
easier.
hopefully we can hear it. Okay.
Okay. Bob and I did most of the turning, and actually we started off, we were going to cut them by hand like they do with greenwood working at a shaving horse. But since the wood wasn't green, we found that didn't work so good. And we decided, well, we've got to turn them, which is something that I tried to avoid because I've never done long, slender spindles like that. And I don't think Bob has either. So that brought us to, okay, we need a tool to help steady it. So John made this nice steady rest, it's called, that allows you to slide the spindle in and give it some support and work on it in shorter sections. And without this, I don't think we'd have gotten through that part. John also took the time to make a tool rest that was long enough to work for some real distance as
John is
we
the
went.
jig master.
John, whenever we needed anything, it was, John, you know, we need this, and we come back the next week and it would have appeared. Mm-hmm. So thank you, John, for all of that.
So this is, I think, what he wanted me to show, but I didn't.
You didn't
about
show?
how to drill the bottom.
Oh, for forming this?
Forming
The
that
tenon?
and the bottom. This would be the bottom of the chair.
Yeah. All those angles necessitated some practice work. And this piece actually served double duty. Not only did we practice drilling our angles, which are tapered, and we'll talk about that in a second, we also practiced the carving that runs around the seat in the spindle area. Can you get that, Mike? Okay. For these, we had a couple of tools that needed to be either made or purchased. John found this one. Where'd you buy that, John?
Yeah, that was
Elia Bizarre.
Ilya, I forgot his last name.
Bizarre or something like that.
Ilya Bizarre is in North Carolina.
This is for doing the tapered mortise for this tapered tenon.
Yeah.
And so we'd just drill a hole at the angle we wanted.
Goes in here.
And then
This tapers it.
we use the tapering tool to taper that mortise. Okay? And all we had to do is match the tenon to it. And for that, let me set that down. John made this tool. This old plain blade, and we just had to get the angle set right. And we ran the mortising tool through here, didn't we?
Yep.
And then we turned this piece round, and we could put it in and very slowly peel that down to perfectly match the mortise that our mortising tool cut. And it does match nice. When you put this together, it will lock right in. There's no give to it. So, Bob, got anything you want to add on this? Bob and I shared the turning. And when I get nervous or had done all I could do, I turned it over to him. And then they'd go back and forth.
Well, I did some of the turnings here for the spindles, and these are all maple. And they're tapered to fit in this seat, and then they're tapered at a different dimension, 3/8 to fit around the hoop. The bottom is a 1/2 inch. So you're working on a very thin, very hard piece of wood, and that's why you need the steady rest to kind of anchor the piece so it doesn't wobble in and out. Begins to wobble, it'll throw the dimension and the contour of the spindles off. And then once we had them in the rough, one by one, we began to line up the curvature across the bottom, making them a little thicker so that the thickness blended all the way across the chair, top and bottom. The next process was to get them to fit into the 3/8 inch holes at the top and the 1/2 inch in the bottom. And to secure them, in those days, they did it with a wedgie. Okay? You want to flip this now and show them the
Yes.
wedgies?
Sure.
Oh,
Just a second,
these are
just
the-
real quick, that's what we use to
This is what we
get the
use.
3/8 and 1/2 inch dimensions dead on. It's actually a plug cutter, but
Yeah.
Well, the wedges, well, you can see the wedges in the bottom here. And then you'll see the wedges at the top.
that's where the hoop comes through, those wedges. Got to come forward a little more to see the wedges. Grab
And
the
top.
wedges up here. Can we tip it forward a little more? There. You can barely see, oh, you can see them in some places. Pretty good.
We got a bit of tear out at the top. Fortunately, the chair will be painted, and once it's filled, you'll never see it.
And actually, at the top of these, we went in with a rasp and we made it a little out around, a little elliptical. So when we drove those wedges in, the spindles actually spread out into that elliptical area and it can never loosen up. We went a little overboard on that in places, but
That it?
That's it.
Hold on a second. John, you want to finish up with painting?
Well, we haven't.
where are we going with it?
Where we're going to finish up with it with the
The
milk paint? No?
the painting, the finishing part of this project, we've hired my wife Sherry to do with milk paint, and she has been researching Curtis Buchanan and Michael Dunbar, and we experimented with another stool that I started with, but that's what the finish is going to, we're not sure yet what color it's going to be, more than likely black, but anyway, that's the plan. And all in all, an interesting project that all of us learn a little bit.
A lot.
So
And you might notice that the chair is actually wobbling a little bit. We haven't cut the bottom flush, so that is part of what we need to do before the painting process. But
Yep.
that's pretty much it.
all in
So,
all, very
yeah.
good project.
So that one's pretty much done. The next one is the toolbox. Real quick show because we'll do some videos on it as well. Here, let me grab that mic there. This is the next project, toolbox. John, being an overachiever, is already way ahead of the rest of us. This is his toolbox. It's all black walnut, and so you'll kind of get a vision of what it's going to look. Oh, butternut, yeah, and black walnut. Yes, you're right. Thank you. And then that's mine. You can see I'm well behind. And then Mike's is over on the table saw, which is this one right here. He's even ahead, so he's got his dovetails cut, the pins and tails. So that's what we do as friends on Saturday morning. So,
Yep.
anybody have anything else? All right. Thank you.